Today's episode is presented by our friends at Seed Money Consulting, the one-stop shop for small businesses that need financial services.
The suppression of the use of marijuana and of the forces lurking behind it are the most important jobs this department is now engaged in. In 1930, the records on marijuana in the Washington office of the Narcotics Division scarcely filled a small folder like this. Today, they fill cabinets.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Coloradians, and everyone that's smart enough to listen from the outside.
It's one of the most amazing plants we've ever discovered.
The pot party, the trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
We have an unbelievable guest interview for today's podcast, but we need to get this party started the right way by giving a shout out to our sponsors and friends over at PINE MELON Market. If you don't know, PINE MELON is an online grocery store that delivers not only directly to your doorstep, but also to the deep freezer for restaurants as well. They work with 200 plus Colorado purveyors. That's farmers, meat purveyors, fruits, grains, anything and everything that you may want from a grocery store. They have it available, and you can take the headache of having to shop in the summertime. Don't worry about making it to the farmer's market on time. They've got you covered all the same. And for first time users, if you use promo code STONED, STONED, you get $60 in free groceries. Just go over to pinemelon.com, get registered, and make sure you've got the best local produce in your cabinet. Thanks again to our friends at Pine Melon. Promo code STONE for those looking for free groceries for the holidays. All right, y'all. I'm so excited about this episode. Welcome back to another episode of Stoned Appetit. This is your travel week edition. We're dropping this episode early. Not only do we have a friend joining us in studio, but literally we're talking about our favorite show, Chris. How excited are you?
I mean, what a banger to drop on a holiday week. Are you kidding me?
I mean, they say a fuck ton of people travel. Well, we're going to have something to serenade their ear holes. Of course, we've got Eve on the ones and twos. Let's check in with Queen Eve. Are you excited about 4th of July?
I'm more excited about this interview than 4th of July, to be honest.
If there was video here, the whole crowd could have seen her smile.
That's the first time I've actually seen her smile as well.
It's been a while.
We've got that going for us. We've got a great episode for y'all today. Chef Manny Borella is joining us. Denver local restaurants peppered across America, but his fan base is stronger than ever, not just in the locations where he's cooking dank food. He has stolen the hearts of Americans all over the country, foodies all over the world. I am so fired up to have you on the pod. We've been trying to do this for like 3 freaking years.
I know, dude.
And we finally got it after you go totally viral. I mean, Team Power Bottom right there.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm excited that we finally made it happen. It's a long time due.
I mean, originally I wanted you on the podcast when you were over at Bayota to talk about the pumpkin hummus that I'm still in love with to this day. And we'll dive into that in the personal questions. But we have a kick-ass episode. We have a lot of questions. Chris and I actually did our due diligence today. And by doing our due diligence, we like send each other pictures of us flexing in the mirror and also talking about emo songs we wanted to ask you about.
Oh, hell yeah.
But we like to start every episode the same way, and that's with me eating a little of the pizza you gave me and drinking a couple cold seltzers while Chris runs the show. CB, do the honors.
Obviously, since you're a longtime listener, Manny, you have to know what's coming. So, first off, are you a transplant or a local to Colorado?
I'm a transplant. I was born and raised in Monterrey, Mexico, so I'm as Mexican as tortillas, my friend.
I love that answer. Okay, great. Okay, so hold on. So you're born, raised over there in Monterey. When did you come to the U.S. and what was kind of like your experience in getting into food growing up in Monterey?
So I grew up. So first, I went to law school before going to culinary school, but I have always loved food.
LSAT score.
No, we don't have that in Mexico.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Chris didn't read all of the notes that I sent him. It's okay.
Yeah, so I always liked food. I like to say I'm a lifetime member of the Fat Kid Club. But growing up, we didn't like go out to a lot of restaurants. So eventually, I just got curious. I'm like, what are ravioli? Like I want to learn how to make them, and just wanted to experiment. And then when I was in law school, I realized that my moral compass didn't align with what a successful lawyer needs to do in Mexico. And my dad, rest in peace, he was part of the federal police, so it was a hairy situation for that. So I dropped out and went to culinary school. And so I do the cooking thing it's more about the eating than the cooking, because at this point there's if I want to eat something, I don't have to go to a restaurant. I just make it myself. So it's the freedom.
It was a self-sufficient thing. He was like, well, if I want quality pasta, I'm going to make it at home. I mean, you're a big motherfucker. I mean, you obviously have to work out a little bit. You're stronger than the average ox. But at the same time, it also seems like you wear a lot of hats. Pivoting, just be like, I don't want to do law school. Juxtaposed to Chris and I, we have smooth brains. So I don't think we would ever have the opportunity to go to law school. But we also fancy ourselves and find ourselves to be fat kids on the inside. What was your first thing that you're like, oh, I may be good at this? Meal-wise, were you like outside of like a taco or a tortilla, you were like, oh shit, I have a little range in this game. Like I'm actually pretty good at it.
I wish I could remember the menu. However, when my sister got proposed, we did a dinner for my brother-in-law and his family at home, and I did a 3-course meal for them. I cannot remember that. It's been like 14, 15 years.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but I was like, I was able to do a 3-course meal. And so I went to culinary school, but I was working in non-related like cooking jobs, because I told my parents, you know what, I'm gonna pay for college. So I did the whole 2 jobs in college thing. And then towards the end, I started working at restaurants. In Mexico, I worked at one restaurant for about a year, until I had one of those bad days where like I need to get out of here. My girlfriend cheated on me, and I was like, I got bangs basically, and I applied for a job in a
Eve loved that.
That's great.
yeah, in a good old Tunica, Mississippi. That was my first experience.
Casinos.
Okay,
In the casinos.
I'm
yeah.
a Mississippi boy.
Where
I'm
was
branded and all.
just curious, like where did you go in Mexico? Where did you go to culinary school? Or
It's called a Culinary Institute of Monterrey. It's a 2-year
Okay.
thing. It's an associate's degree basically.
okay, so you were like cooking and stuff in your hometown.
Yeah. So it was in my hometown. I graduated on December 2008, and in August the 1st, 2009, I was landing in Memphis, driving to Mississippi.
Cheers to Mississippi.
What was the job in Mississippi, and how did you land that?
It was Gold Strike Casino, and I was changing Schaefer's on the buffet.
Hell yeah!
You know, I have never seen chicken marinated in Italian dressing and then grilled. And so I have a story for you. So I get there, and they were like, "Okay, you can go whatever you want to order from the cafeteria. This is like fresh out of the boat, man. I'm in in America." And I go like, "I'm ready for the cuisine of the world." You know, I was so ready for like non-Mexican food. And I read fried catfish, and I was like, "Oh my God, how exotic!" Fried catfish, and I was like living the American dream right there. By day 3, I'm just like, fucking catfish is everywhere. It's not that exotic.
It's not
a
like
bottom-dwelling fish.
I ate fried okra for the first time, and I thought it was fried jalapeno. So I put a handful of okra in my mouth. Are these jalapenos bad? Why are they so slimy? I did not know.
They didn't have any spice either. You're like, what the fuck's going on?
So that was my impression with my first impression in America, in Tunica, Mississippi.
Well, to be fair, that was the same kind of like early experiences I also had. Like our Mexican food representation down in Jackson, Mississippi, which is an interesting scene itself. But the whole Mississippi is just interesting. But it was all like chain, like 3 margaritas, like fajita sizzling plates, schooners of margaritas. Like it wasn't anything revolutionary. And then you leave town and you're like, oh, this is what exotic food looks like. Not, I ate at that one Indian restaurant one time. So I get it completely. Was there a piece of food where in Mississippi you're like, how the fuck do these folks eat this? Because
okra.
Really? It was
I hate
not
okra.
a Kool-Aid pickled egg in a dive bar?
I have not had those, but I would for sure. Like I will try anything twice. You know?
That's literally one of my sayings, except for heroin. That's our other
Just
saying.
one and done, right?
Okay, so you went from Mississippi and you're like, okay, this is equally as hot as Mexico. Maybe not my scene for how I want to stretch my wings. Or did you find your place inside what we called the casino? Because our governor was a redneck and his name was Haley Barber. But at the same time, I know the Gold Strike. They owe me like $6,000 for gambling underage because they're supposed to not take money from us, but they sure did.
Yeah, so the thing, it was with a J1 visa, so it was 1 year contract, whether I want it or not. So once the contract is over, I have to go back to Mexico, apply for another visa. They send me to a different city. I don't have an option besides this is the hotel or the restaurant. Do you want it or should I ask someone else? So after I did that, I applied for a second visa and then I went to the St. Regis in Atlanta.
Ooh.
Okay, that's much more fun.
Stepping it up.
Yeah, that's a real place.
Yes, I had the option to go to Four Seasons in Dallas or St. Regis in Atlanta. And I am so glad that I did what I did because it just changed my life completely. That decision, like I literally wouldn't be here if I would have not chosen St. Regis in Atlanta.
And why is that? What was the path that kind of delegated? Because you've obviously made a great name for yourself in our local community and now across the country. But how was Atlanta? Was it the Turner, broadcasting
Yeah,
system?
I worked for under his name is Jonathan Jerusalmi. He's a master chef of France. He was executive chef there, and when he left St. Regis and went to Sea Island, Georgia, he was like, I can offer you a 3-year visa, a TN visa. Do you want to come with me? And he got me to get the 3-year visa, and then I started working at this place called the Jordan Room. That was my first experience with fine dining, like 12-course tasting menu kind of thing.
Like dots and fancy, like
and
how
liquid
you play.
nitrogen and like all that, like anti-griddle and things like that. That was my first experience with that. But because he took me to Georgia, is that I was there for almost 3 years, and like it just taught me a lot of things that I know now and opened a lot of doors because of Sea Island, because of what it is, like 5-star really chateau, hotel and restaurant, among other things.
So,
awesome.
Question though, like, did you do the St. Regis and then go to Sea Island with
Yeah.
them? Okay, and then when you got to Sea Island, like, where did you feel comfort-wise? Like, was that kind of like, oh shit, I'm in it now, or?
Man,
That's fancy crowd.
It was at the time before Top Chef the hardest thing that I had ever done in my career. It was because I was so underqualified. Like like when I had Bellota, I was having a little trouble with some cooks. That I reached out to Chef Danny and I was like, Chef, thank you so much for not firing me. All the times I gave you reasons to fire me. Like
you started to empathize a little bit.
Yeah, like I will go to before getting into the restaurant. I don't know how to call it in English when you do this. Like the cross sign every day before going into the restaurant. I will do the cross sign and like I hope I don't get fired today. It was so hard, man. And a bunch of cooks from CIA New York, and I'm like the token Mexican there. And at the time, I didn't realize it, but in retrospect, they were not very nice.
Yeah, you look back and you're like, they were kind of pricks.
Yeah, they were not very nice to me. Like I like to think that I can get along with anybody, but
you are a bubbly person.
Thank you, man.
It's also like, I mean, the field is a little cutthroat. Like, if you get asked to come to this place like that, and like, obviously, I think probably what obviously kept you from not getting fired is like they could probably tell that, hey, this guy he's trying.
And he wants
to
like
if somebody's trying and they show that one and they mess up every now and then, but they don't make that same mistake twice, you got to know they're doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, I did the same mistake a lot of times.
Yeah.
I was not ready for that kitchen.
What's up? I know that feeling oh too well.
Yeah,
I fuck up all the time.
Yeah, and then did it click one day there?
One day, I don't know what happened, but I remember when Chef Danny told me, I don't know what happened to you, but you like immediately just got better. I mean, my sous chef was like, you still suck, but you don't suck that much. Like that was like the mentality in that kitchen. Yeah.
So patronizing. Well, so did you get out of there and you're like, all right, when I find my place or when I take the reins over, I know how I want my staff to kind of tick. You want it to like mimic how that chef Danny ran it for y'all, but have a little bit more empathy for those on the line? Or, because you found yourself here and you became the king of the castle over at Bayota and helped them even just create an expansion thought and things of that nature. So you really flourished here, even if you won't give yourself your bones and credit over at Sea Island.
I feel that, so Bellota was my very first Mexican restaurant that I have ever worked at. I had always worked in everything but Mexican.
Oh, interesting. Well, you mean stateside for sure.
Yeah. Like even in Mexico, I mean, it was a shitty ass restaurant. I don't even have it on my resume. So Bellota was like, okay, I'm gonna lean into my cuisine and the flavors and family recipes and everything, and it just clicked. I'm just very grateful that the people in Denver bought into what I had to offer.
I mean, I think that the community also did as well because, you came from, you're a younger chef, you were kind of playing in those progressive thoughts because when you were, I guess, like getting into that scene, it was one of the fewer restaurants that was a little bit more upscale in terms of Mexican dining because oftentimes folks think street tacos and then there was La Loma with the big puffy tortillas, which all played with some other flavors like the cochinita pibil and like that hummus that I alluded to earlier. I fucking love it. Like you had some exotic kind of like concepts, like a hummus that maybe wasn't, as aesthetic, but by God, it was delicious. So was there like a trust factor that maybe you and Brian Dayton had? Like, you're giving me the keys to the car, but let me show you what I can do? Or how did that kind of drum up?
So my first interaction was with Bill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Dayton came afterwards and the mix. But with Bill in the beginning, he wanted something a little bit more casual, more like smoke. But even Chef Sarah from Oak.
Yeah.
Well, back then she was at Oak. She even told Bill, like, you bring a chef with fine dining background, and what do you expect it was going to happen? Like, he's not going to have a casual. And then we started, like, comparing. He was like, oh, I have a recipe for carnitas. And I was like, I also have a recipe for carnitas. So we made them side by side, and he tried mine, and he was like, okay, we're doing yours.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be, like, more of a collaborative menu. But once it was all said and done, it was just all my menu. And now, I remember the first night we opened, I just kept looking around and I kind of took a moment to smell the flowers. And I was like, all these people here are eating my family recipes and my food. And I had never had that coming from Uchi as a sous chef. You don't have that much. You have some creative outlet, but not like the entire menu.
And that one's even kind of like not necessarily chainy because it is like there's multiple franchises or individual locations, but it's like the range that you're allowed to kind of play within, you have a little bit of stricter guidelines.
Yes.
Whereas you are free to color outside the lines once you got the keys to this car or the keys to this book. Sorry, double metaphor.
Yeah, something like that. Nice.
Thanks.
But also, like, real quick though, and you don't have to go into details about these other jobs, but how did you get to Bayota? So Sea Island, and then you bipped.
Sea Island, then I went to Napa. And I worked at 3 locations in Napa, and the very last one was working under Massimo Falsini. It was a 1-star Italian restaurant because I knew that I was moving to Boulder. Frasca was my dream job. For 3 years, I was like, one day I'm going to work in Frasca. One day I'm going to be at Frasca. So I knew that I was moving to Boulder. So I just started getting ready, and I told the chef, I can give you 9 months of my life, and then I'm moving to Boulder. You take it or leave it. And he was like, come on. So I will drive 50 minutes each way every day because I wanted to learn Italian cuisine at a Michelin star level. And then I ended up at Frasca.
How did you know, how did you hear about Frasca? I know, we both know it's well known, but how did you find out about Frasca and make that your goal?
I mean, Italian cuisine has always been the one that I gravitated the most. I don't know if it's the carbs or what is it, but I just wanted it.
Just bread, sauce, pasta, meats.
Yes, and I had spent some time in Colorado, and I knew of Frasca.
Okay.
And I mean, how many people have you met that is like, oh yeah, I came on vacation one day to Colorado and I just moved because I loved it. It's a common denominator, my friend. So I wanted to work at Frasca. I moved to Boulder. And I go to Frasca, and at the time, the salary or the hourly rate couldn't fit my needs. I was not expecting that. And I remember I left Frasca, and I called one of my friends, and I'm just like, I told him no. after 3 years of trying, and I'm just like, I feel like I just broke up with the hottest girl in town. But then I ended up coming back because it's like I have to do it. So I did about a year and change in Frasca, and then so at this point I'm a resident now. So I don't have visas. So for the very first time, I get sought after. I get a message from a headhunter that they needed a sous chef for a restaurant. So I was like, oh, I've never been looked for. Like I'm gonna entertain these. This feels really cool. And that was the sous chef position at Uchi. So I had two paths, and I had to choose between becoming the sous chef at Frasca or becoming the sous chef at Uchi. And for me, it was like, you know what? This is a complete new challenge. I've never cooked Japanese food. Like I want it. Like this is an opportunity that I want to take advantage of. So unfortunately, I said no to the sous chef position at Frasca and accepted the one at Uchi. And then one day, Bill sent me a message on Instagram. And like, hey, Acorn closed. We're turning into a Mexican restaurant. And your name came up. Are you interested? And I'm like, sure, let's go sit down and talk. And literally through DM on Instagram. That's how I ended up with Bellota.
See,
that's a great story.
That's the positives of social media. You hear enough negatives, especially on this podcast, because it's a drain on everyone's society. But like, yeah, right. It's like you can showcase some of your skills and things of that nature, and also, you know, you can be headhunted, you know, in the most polite of ways. So that's fucking awesome. You know, we've talked a little bit about the past, and I think we would be remiss as we start talking a little bit about, you know, we're going to dive into the TV show next, but before we do that, let's talk a little bit about the present and the future. So, you know, since you helped Bellota expand, and then you've taken on a new role in kind of doing restaurant consulting, creative design for menus and restaurant groups, and then have recently launched a new concept with a team out of North Carolina. Isn't that correct?
Well, the team, our headquarters are in Denver.
Okay, excuse me. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay. So Robert Thompson, he's the guy behind Punchbowl Social. So the entire team, or most of the team, are the people that opened, like from the very beginning, Punchbowl Social.
I thought that was a Chicago-based company, but nonetheless, they fucking slayed it. Those early years, it was the place to be. This was like the adult Chuck E. Cheese for those that are laughing at us, but it was a lot of fun. It was before Putt Shack and all the other ones were in town.
22 locations all over the country, man.
They get good chefs. Like, they get good chefs coming in to advise on stuff. Like, I know Southerner Hugh Atchison, he's part of that whole stick.
Yeah, so when I was talking to Robert and he told me about that, he told me about Sean Brock, and I'm just like, I'm in the same fucking conversation as those two? What the fuck? Like, for me, like, I'm just a guy that wanted to eat food, you know? Like for me, like, it's just, I still don't believe it, but kind of do, you know? Like, it's a very good feeling. So Punchbowl Social closed. I mean, got because of COVID. It's like the worst place.
Clipped its wings.
If there's the worst thing that could have happened to Punchbowl Social was COVID. So then after I leave Bellota, I left and I was like, well, I don't have any plans. I'm gonna take 3 months off. You know, like I deserve to like figure out who Manny is, not Chef Manny. You know, I had been so focused in work and completely absorbed in what Bellota brought. 2022 was a year that marked my career. You know, awards and nominations and stuff like that. So like you just want more and more. And like, why should I slow down? And next thing I know, I'm like on day 47 without a day off. You know, I'm like, this cannot be success. There has to be a different way to be fulfilled. So I remember when I left Bellota, my fiance asked me, so what are you gonna do with all this time off? Like, what are your hobbies? And I told her, I don't have one. I did not have an answer.
Cook Italian food.
Yeah, like all I did was like go to the gym and go to the restaurant and spend 12 hours there, sometimes 7 days a week. You know, like I completely lost who I was. And I was like, I need to take some time and rediscover what I like and who is Manny instead of Chef Manny. And my fiance Molly, she like thankfully helped me understand that, because before then, it's like, why would I have a day off? I mean,
and you see folks like get burnt out, like whether it's like they just have to constantly be on, or like working when you're running the kitchen, you call and check in before you even like have a cup of coffee or even go about your day. So there is no real day off. So being able to kind of disconnect, and in a time, Yeah, it sucked for Punch Bowl. And it sucked for people like Chris and I, whose whole personality is dependent on being able to go out and drink in public and eat a bunch of fucking snacks. Like, it really, hindered all of that. So that was a perfect time to kind of disconnect and figure out what you want to do next.
Yeah.
And so Rob, I guess, reapproached you? Or was he like...
I got introduced to Robert by Feed Media. Because even though I wasn't with Bellota, I always kept a very good relationship with them. They were like, hey, I know that you're not working right now, but I have somebody that is looking for a chef. And Steph told me, he is what you're looking for, and you are what
they're looking for.
Yeah, like you guys need to sit down and talk. So I was like, sure, like what position is a culinary director? And I'm just like, oh boy. Like, sure, I mean, I'll sit down and talk. And, something that I've learned in relationships is to set expectations. So I sat down and I told Robert, like, hey, man, I've never had a position at that level. I understand if you are looking for somebody with more experience, but at the same time, I had never been an executive chef, and look at the things that I accomplished. I will do my homework and I will work hard, but like this is what I know, this is what I don't know, and this is where I want to go. Is there a world where it works for what you want to accomplish? And he just told me, I'd rather bring somebody that I can build into the company's culture. I will surround you with a team that will help you be successful and teach you those things. And I was like, okay, let's do it.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a perfect landing spot. And I mean, I guess the next question would be like, how the fuck did you get on television?
So yeah, it was a couple months, and then it started in February, so around June, I got the call, and they were like, hey, we just want to officially offer you the opportunity to come to Top Chef. And I'm just like, oh shit.
Did you have to do like a last minute competition? Did they come up with finalists and then you go and like do like an in-person thing?
No, they don't do that anymore. I know that there were a lot of people that involved. So the fact that the 15 of us out of way too many chefs, like that's an accomplishment itself. And sometimes it's hard to remember that because you forget about the back of the train.
5,000 people that applied, like that would take someone's whole year up just vetting candidates if they had to do them in person.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm talking about like a select few, like to dwindle it down.
Well, that's what in the former seasons, like I was talking about New Orleans earlier, and that's one that kind of resonates. But like Padma had mentioned that there was like a sous chef challenge where multiple chefs duked it out for a spot in the field, and it kind of reminds you a little bit of like college basketball's tournaments. Like Cinderella, you win your conference and then you get into the big dance, And so you got the call, you go into the big dance. Did you know you're going into Milwaukee, or do you find out like they send you a ticket and they're like, show up at DIA?
No, oh my God, no. They let you know a couple weeks before.
Okay, so you can do a little studying.
Yeah, so you can start studying the region, and so they said, oh, you're going to Wisconsin, and I'm just like, Wisconsin? Like I'd never even consider like that's the further north I've ever been. It's too cold for us Mexicans, man. Like it's.
Yeah,
it's
just,
I mean,
who would think of Wisconsin?
Weather. You're up there in autumn.
It's so hot in the summer.
Oh yeah,
it's so hot in the summer. Oh my God.
To be fair though, that's the cool thing about this show, because I was in that same camp. I was like, oh, this is like, and I think Portland even kind of did it for me a couple years ago. Shout out to Gregory on that one. But it's like, oh, I didn't know that this place had so much pizzazz.
And water,
like, I mean,
and
I knew about the water part.
Yeah, but I mean, restaurants
stupid,
and like really good, like old traditions.
I think it's a really cool aspect is that they kind of, and they did New Orleans like we joked about, but they've done Denver as well before Denver had really truly popped off, And so like, it's neat that they showcase, mid-city towns. It's not just like, oh, Manhattan, LA, San Diego, Chicago, DC. Like, they're like, let's do Houston, let's do Kentucky. Like, Chris is dear friends with Kelsey, who won Kentucky, and we watched that religiously as they're cooking on pontoon boats. And I was like, this looks like fun. Like, it's those neat little caveats that kind of like bring a little more character to the competition itself as well.
So
beautiful.
When you got to Wisconsin, first of all, I'm sure you're just like, oh God, what's going on? But then, was that the first time you met all the other contestants?
Yes. I was like, I hope that there's somebody that I know.
Did you start sizing them up? Like thinking like, I don't know about this.
No. That person's going to beat me.
No, it is like, so when I have this mentality of there are rivals and there are competitors. I consider somebody that is my rival, when you're like, I want you to lose and I want to win. I suppose you're my competitor. I want you to show off. I want you to do great. I just gotta make sure that I do better than you. Like,
Okay.
I never ever.
That's Tiger Woods. That's that Tiger Woods. Because that's it. You don't want to win because someone lost. You want your best to have beaten somebody else's best.
Yeah, like even during the shopping, if somebody needed, I run out of money. Dude, I have $50 left. I'll buy it for you. Like, I don't want to win because you couldn't get that ingredient. I want to win because my food is better than yours. Or if I don't win, I wanna lose against your best dish. Like, I never, not even once, hope that somebody did bad.
So when you get there, do they give you a schedule of like, you're about to start cooking this day, we're about to start doing this?
You don't know what's gonna happen until you arrive. Like, you do not.
Did you have a strategy that you had going into it? Like, okay, because like obviously you have I guess a background in not only cooking Mexican food, but also Italian food and things. You're like, okay, I can play certain of these my strengths. Because it's kind of like when I watch Chopped or something, I'm like, oh, I would make a fried shrimp, insert this. Like I lean on what I already know. Were you like, okay, let's find things that, like we can find? Was there a strategy there?
Yeah,
like seafood is huge. Let's play off seafood.
My number one priority, to not puke on national television. I was so nervous, man. Oh my God. I was so
very low bar.
Yeah, dude. I was in the car. Dan was driving the car, and I just kept rambling, and he just goes and looks at me, and with all love, you're like, Manny, just shut the fuck up and quit and cook. Just shut up. And I was so fucking nervous on the first episode, and I was like, okay, first thing I gotta do is don't lose the first episode. Like that was one challenge at a time, one day at a time. But you don't really know anything. Like we don't even have our recipes. Like they take your recipes away.
Because I see like I don't know,
you
get
down.
like a book, but I wasn't sure if like you could bring like, oh, this is my recipe for bread that I know.
Nothing. Like zero. So you see people that are like, oh, they're gonna do biscuits, and the biscuits didn't come out. But you look at their businesses, and they have best biscuits in town. Yeah, because I mean, I am, for example, right now I am far removed on a couple of my own recipes. Where like, if I were to go to the restaurant and cook the recipe, number one, for consistency, I always tell my cooks, like I pull my own recipe because I want to make that salsa, not a version of the salsa. So yeah, like you don't know where are we going. You'll know when you get there. That's what they tell you.
Oh, that is so cool.
Damn.
Okay, so was there a challenge that sticks out in your mind? And we followed your story throughout the whole season. I was cheering for you. Chris was not. It's not a big deal.
Get out of here. I had a couple favorites.
Yeah,
in there.
we pick one
It's
like we do
all
on
good,
them.
yeah.
So like me and my dad applied for the Amazing Race multiple times, and we always said we didn't want to be the first ones out. Was there a quick fire or an elimination challenge where you're like, oh boy, I'm fucked? And was it the first one, or was it one like later on where you're like the one when y'all were all outside and like sweating
that
like
one, yeah, the
pigs?
fucking the cheese fest, fucking cheese fest. So I get so that's when I got the cheese curds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, I have eaten cheese curds. I've never worked with cheese curds. Yeah, like I've eaten. I just know like 2 presentations for cheese curds. So now hindsight is 2020. Cheese curd is basic. When you eat it, when you heat it up, when it cools down, it's like Oaxaca cheese.
Oh yeah, just kind of breaks apart for you as well.
Yeah, and when it gets cold, it gets chewy, like Oaxaca cheese. Now I know that, but at the time I didn't. And obviously, like there are things that you don't think about taking in consideration, like weather.
Yeah.
So I remember that when I was just running from dear life on that episode, and I'm just thinking, God damn it, I'm about to go home over fucking potatoes. I remember thinking that. I was so mad.
That's what's got to be frustrating is like, it doesn't matter what you did the previous day in each additional challenge, but also I'm curious, like, was it more pressure given the like short time of a quickfire challenge, also the fact that you can get immunity, or were the elimination challenges more pressure?
I mean, with the new format, the elimination, there's more on the table because the quick fire, I mean, if you don't win, you just don't win money.
Yeah.
Until like they changed it that it may affect the decision.
like in the
and everything.
later rounds.
But in the beginning, it's just the quick fire, and I mean, you learn what things are in the kitchen as you're running. Like you get like one tour, and that's it. So it is. I mean, it's the name of the game. You know, like it's just part of it. But yeah, there's a lot of things that I was one of those when I used to watch it and be like, I would have done this. How come they didn't cook the ceviche like that? It is that, my friend. It is very different. I remember being like, this is a lot harder than in TV. I remember thinking like it is. It's
be like someone at home is just telling me, why don't I just do this with the cheese curd?
Yeah,
You're
that's
like,
it.
yeah, your brain's frazzled. You're told you have 20 minutes.
You need a
or-
lifeline. But did y'all, as contestants on the show, did you all talk about like, fuck, man, that was hard. Like, what do we do?
Oh yeah,
here?
oh yeah. Like we were like before we were walking into the set, we were like, man, this shit does not get easier. Like we always wanted to pee right before the set.
Who was the calmest person?
It's got to be Danny, just from first look. Like he seems so composed.
The calmest person. Okay, the calmest physically that didn't show it in like Sue was very calm, but now that I know him, he was not calm. He was just trying not to pass out. Yeah, but you know, we were like, Sue, come on, like get your head up, because it is very nerve wracking. Like I will never hold it against anybody if they're nervous or not. It's like nothing I have ever experienced before, because the stakes are high, the competition is hard, the chefs are great, and at some point I remember telling the other chefs, like, we're one pinch of salt away between winning it all or going home. I mean, pinch of salt.
It's really that, and it's wild. And yeah, you know, one thing you mentioned about Sue, and it reminds you of the host Kristen, as well as people like Lewis and others that had to navigate through that. Oh, you're spending a month, or a week, but a month in television time in the Last Chance Kitchen, where you're only thinking in 30-minute bursts, and then it changes the game when you're in the actual game. And it seemed like teams, especially early in the season, it very much mimics that of like maybe even working a line or a station and things of like a real restaurant. How was that operating with folks that maybe aren't like, you maybe have a different background than Sue, or somebody that, and then you find yourself in a competition where y'all are reliant on each other and we have to mesh, even if we don't cook the same style or the same genre of cuisine. How is that process? Is it like you kind of like one person becomes the alpha, or it's like, where can we meet in the middle? Is it butting heads? Stuff that like we may not see, but it's like, no, man, let's lean on this rather than that.
I think that the camaraderie and the chemistry plays a huge role there, because it doesn't matter if I get it with another Mexican chef if we cannot see eye to eye.
Yeah.
But if we have complete different backgrounds, but we get along and we respect each other and we just have that chemistry, that can still work. I mean, fusion cuisine.
Yeah.
You can just play a little bit with that.
Okay, this one's a good thing about camaraderie. Restaurant Wars, love it or hate it?
I loved it. I had, because so
I feel like
it's okay. So when we
How
were
crazy
so in Restaurant
I'll
Wars,
get a couple more beers.
on Restaurant Wars, I ended up with Laura and Kalina, Sue, and myself. And Kalina said, "Hey, I'm very good at Expo." No, like, that is awesome. I want to cook. And Sue and Laura, she has a lot of like attention to detail with decoration and everything. We're like, I mean, you're gonna, like, please help us. You're gonna be in charge of like the color pattern and everything. Like, I know the 7 colors of the rainbow in English, and that's it, So at some point, I look at Sue and I was like, I guess we're cooking on the line together. Sue and I had a blast cooking together. We like it was like we had worked before together. Like it was incredible.
Would you have ever taken the front of house role on Restaurant Wars? That seems to be a death
Or would you
sentence.
rather be? It's either front of house or expo.
Expo.
So I want to tell you, and Shannon will be laughing at this. They, before leaving, they were like, "Look me in the eyes," and Steph were like, "Man, no, look me in the eyes. Promise me that you will not be front of the house." And I was like, "But why? Like, I wanna like."
You're such a good people person.
No, they were like, "Promise me you're not." And I was like, "Fine, I promise I will not be front of the house." But there was a part of me that was like, "I think I can kill it,"
Good on you for heeding their advice.
That is easily one of the most entertaining like episodes every season, and it's the most contentious too, because oftentimes you let the judges dictate what didn't play.
Oh, we've been
but
sitting
in
here.
this one, it's like, oh well, front of house was fucked because back of house. Like this is the one episode every season where two people may be a little bit more combative, even if they are, like because you're vying for your life in most of those instances.
Yeah.
And it's just great television. And I mean, shout out to the team over at Bravo. I mean, we love Gail and Kristen. We met them last year at the Food and Wine Classic. Had the pleasure of meeting Tom this year. And your colleagues were not, and fellow competitors were awesome. But the judges, I mean, they're awesome. And
They're incredible,
and it's just wild how they are able to do this year in and year out. And every year it's just strenuous as the season is before. The producers and the people behind the scenes really deserve some credit, as does Eve, because she makes us look good. But those episodes, I'm like looking at the edge of I'm like, I think Manny's good here. I think we're good. And I was like, pick our team. Like, it's just like, I don't want to hear your name in the bottom three. Like, they do it so well. It keeps you on the edge of the seat. So I'm glad to hear you enjoyed it as much as we at home enjoyed it, because that really is top tier television.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
What was it like? Okay, number one, favorite challenge, and then also really quick as we get towards the end of Top Chef, what was it like being called to be the sous chef on the final episode?
That's a big honor. And Danny was fucking slaying all season, bro. Like, y'all obviously, no spoilers, y'all won.
But you're also like, it seems so, I mean, obviously, in a competition when you were doing teams, y'all wanted everybody to succeed. And just like any other challenge, you want Danny to succeed. But like, he's calling on you, he's relying on you. Pressure on that situation. Was it more than competing for yourself?
Great question, Chris.
Yes, because if I compete for myself and I mess it up, I'm suffering the consequences. Like when it was, and when he picked me to be the sous chef, I'm just like, holy shit! Like, I'm gonna get to cook with Danny, in the finale as the sous chef, and something that I admire of him because he did.
Excuse me.
Like, he has done competitions before, and he did the Bocuse d'Or, and everything is timed. Like, he always had his damn notebook with, like, at 2:02, I'm grabbing a cutting board. At 2:05, I'm putting water on the pot. At 2:00, like, everything is timed. So I admire that from him. And that's how it was during the challenge. Like, you'll see, like, he was like, man, let's go. Because he's a fine dining mentality where, like, you know what? If he says you're running 100 miles an hour and I need you 101, I will push for 101, because at the end of the day, if you tell me I want you to chop it 3 times, I will chop it 3 times, and like it's I will respect whatever, the same way that I would like if it was the other way around.
Right.
Like it's his show. I'm just here to help and support him and help him become top chef. And like I said, I didn't expect anything less from him. Like, he's like the most type A person I've ever met in the best possible way. Have you ever read of Vince Mancini?
No, we're not readers here. Eve reads.
So this guy, he's a comedian that has a power rankings, and he describes Danny. He said, "I bet Danny got potty trained at gunpoint." Like he is type A, and if you see it in his cooking and his plating, and for me it's exciting because I'm way far removed from fine dining. So going back to that, well, like, this is gonna be fun, and my relationship with him. I read this thing with people. Well, we didn't see a lot of Manny and Danny get, like, during the season, but you guys see like 5% of what happened.
We don't see nearly. It's not Real World where we see more of the house. Which, it's kind of interesting because
would be cool.
The houses look badass. And I think we met Danny ever so briefly at like the chicken late night party and in Aspen this past summer or whatever. But he is a little bit like, we're a little bit more rough around the edges, and he is very, not necessarily straight laced, but he's like, he's kind, but he's also like matter of fact, a little bit like, I can see. And so when he picked you, I was like, oh, really? You picked Manny. I can't wait to see how this goes.
Yeah.
And I was like, heck yeah. And I didn't realize that we didn't know who won, but we were like, I wonder who won the whole time we were up there, and we got to keep bumping into him. And I was like, so who won? And everybody was like, get the fuck out of here, like, and jokingly, because they're all nice as can be.
Yeah, they're
But,
super nice.
I mean, that has to be a fun one. But like Chris mentioned, what was your favorite challenge where you're like, oh, I slaughtered that one? People got to see me showcase what my
I mean, the
skills were.
first one, I would be lying.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I would be lying
the
if I
is that the
if
green chile
the
or the
pozole.
pozole? Yeah.
Yeah, and not only because of the I mean, yes, because I won the challenge. I mean, why
Yeah.
not? Let's just say how it is. But because of how nervous I was before, you know, like there's a back behind the scenes picture where I literally have my head in between my legs. Like before that, I was so nervous. Like if I get eliminated on the first challenge, I cannot show my face in Denver again.
That was literally I was like, don't be the first one eliminated. That's the
I'll
only
do it.
rule for reality TV.
I mean, I'm sure all of the chefs have that mentality. Like you just don't want to be the first. It's a thing.
Yeah.
You know, but like on top of that, to come on the other side completely, like for me, well, like with like among all these chefs, and that's when I remember I had that like mirror moment that night, and I was like, huh. Maybe I can hang. Maybe some people see things in us that we don't get to see because we have the self-judgment filter, and people see and trust us more than we trust ourselves sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest things of the competitors that go really far in Top Chef is like they start believing in themselves and they start trusting themselves.
And I thought, was it Savannah?
Oh, Savannah, dude.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh my
from
God.
episode 1 to As Long as She Made It, no spoilers, in the finale, I thought she really she had so much like, I'm so confident in myself, and she was reeling like a couple wins right there in the last couple episodes where I love it, Chris. I couldn't agree more. And you showed that same thing, you know, like you showed not only range, but like confidence in front of the camera, and you let your personality show, which I think is one reason why the community, the Food Network and the Bravo Network and the foodie community in Denver, everybody just kind of like loved you and wanted, you're a big teddy bear. You're just so much fun to be around, and it started to show through even from like, I'd say the first episode. I wouldn't have known that you threw up on yourself before.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
We definitely won't get the rumor started that
Yeah,
you threw up.
shut up, man.
It's all right. We're not going to tell people.
You know
right?
what? If I would have, I would say yes. That's how fucking hard that shit is. You know,
Debatable.
I would be so nervous, man. I am giving you like
Yeah.
so much. I'm busting your chops, but I tell you right now, it'd be like you walk out and you see Gail just like sitting there, and she's like, "What do you have?" And your hands are just like shaking. Like that's what would happen if you had like a top. Like if I had a chicken, mine would be a fried chicken skin. It would just fall off of whatever I made because I would not be able to hold. I would have shit my pants right then and there.
It is,
I'm proud of you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And you know something that I have to give to Bravo and Top Chef in general. You know, they never tell you what to say or what to do. They never like guide you or cater it. They just tell you, we need you to talk. You can say whatever you want, but if you don't talk, we're gonna ask you questions and make you talk.
Like the time, like, hey, we need someone to yell, there's 10 minutes and 32 seconds left, and you say, there's 10 minutes left, Chef.
Things like that.
We've wondered that, and I think a lot of people at home did. Question, let's say you get eliminated. Do you have to do your voiceover where you're talking about what you're doing after you lose? And they're like, don't sound disappointed? Because you're like, damn it, I can't believe I lost. There's where I forgot the salt, you know?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry for that too.
Yeah, no, you just gotta play the part, and it's part of the game.
Yeah.
Part of the game, exactly.
That's cool insight. Like when we had some Survivor players on the podcast a couple years ago, and they're like, yeah, we're just at a hotel like 180 yards off shot, and I'm like, well, gosh damn it. Do they keep y'all like nearby? So like you were, no spoilers, like 5th place. So you're like off for like a couple days or weeks in terms of TV. And then 14 of y'all show up on a fucking boat to be available as a sous chef. Is everybody hanging out in like a little hotel or a cabana in Milwaukee still waiting for the finale? Or how does that work?
So
everyone's sequestered?
So there is a different hotel. No, that's how they call it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, I was just laughing.
People want to know these questions. It's
Yeah,
just
I got
basic
another
fun.
good one.
No, so you basically go to a different hotel, and when we ask why do we have to stay here if we're eliminated, And that one somebody like I don't know if this is the official explanation, but so like
Yeah, we'll probably have to cut this out.
Yeah, but imagine that you're the chef and you're like, oh yeah, we did it over the summer, and I'm like, wait a minute, I saw you in your restaurant during the summer. That means that you didn't like. People put things
Survivor's
together.
the same way. Like they're like, we keep everyone here because if you come back from Fiji and like people are gambling on this on bovine, like you just can't have those improprieties. Yeah, that's
exactly.
I get that.
So you
won't have to delete that.
Yeah.
It's not nearly as
No.
bad as I thought.
You have to stay there because it's just to not spoil what has happened. And then eventually, so we came home before the finale.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
and then everybody meets on the boat.
Top 9.
Whatever.
No, only the top 9. Basically.
Oh, top 9.
Basically, the ones who made it to Restaurant Wars are the ones that got to
have a chance to be a Sioux.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you get picked from one of those.
Go ahead.
So one of the cool things you said, we only see about 5%. So when y'all are on the show competing and stuff, when y'all go back to like live, stay wherever you're staying, do y'all have family meals? Do y'all make that together, or do you just kind of go your separate ways at the end of the?
So we did have the opportunity to do a grocery list, and then yes, especially as we start what the word dwindling, like getting less and less.
Yeah.
We had opportunity like, hey, I'm gonna do a family meal. I mean, it's easier to cook for 6 people than to cook for 14.
Right.
Especially when you're cooking out of a suite in a hotel.
Yeah.
So yes, we will ask for groceries because we got tired of takeout. So yeah, the best chicken parmigiana I've had in my entire life. Sue made us chicken parmigiana, and
he's a Chicago chef, right?
It is like hats off to that shit. I was not even hungry. I was hurting, and I was like, I cannot stop eating this. Oh my god.
Well, that actually is leading. We've been asking you a couple questions from the community, and the next one actually spins off of having other chefs cook. Some of your followers in North Carolina said that they've seen that you do parties there. Are you planning to do more dinner events and cooking classes at your Jaguar location? And because of your newfound popularity and sex appeal, we heard you were in a magazine. Congratulations. Are you going to do fun little pop-ups like in Denver as well? And like, how does that work after the show? Because you see that there's a small community or circle. Uh-oh, my computer died. I'll go get it for them. But what's it called? You see that there's a small community that kind of always kind of keep doing fun things together. Do y'all have plans on doing those in the future? And like, can the community come and like see you do cooking classes?
Yeah. So we're definitely. So we just had the Top Chef family reunion. So we did literally last Wednesday. So 4 of the chefs and myself did a 5-course family meal. So it was Dan, Sue, Kevin, Savannah, and myself. And then 4 of the other chefs joined us as guests for that. So yeah, like there are plans to, like, I want to keep cooking with them. We're brothers and sisters in arms.
Yeah.
So being able to, like, I'm going over to cook with Dan actually in August the 4th. So Dan and I are doing a collab dinner on his restaurant, Dan.
Okay.
And then in October the 6th, I'm going to Chicago and I'm cooking with Sue to make an Italian-Mexican dinner. So there are plans. Like, we all want to cook with everybody again. Now that we can cook whatever we want, whenever we want. Like, it's something that we really look forward to. And being able to have the chefs come to Raleigh and show them the space and what I do and the food that I cook there. Like, for me, like having my family come to my house.
Yeah.
So definitely looking forward to that. At the same time, doing some events here in Denver. I don't want to jinx them, so I will not tell you exactly.
Just be on the lookout?
Just be on the lookout, because I don't have a restaurant here, but that doesn't mean that I don't get to cook in Denver.
Well, I would love to float the idea. We have this studio that also is a backyard. I don't know if you heard, I have a hot dog roller with 30 hot dog space, a deep fryer, 2 basket, no big deal, 4 eyes, and 1 1984 oven upstairs with a huge fucking backyard. So we would love to open up our space for y'all to join us for a good terp sesh, a little pairings dinner. Our buddy Justin Sutherland did one up in Minnesota, and I almost got on a fucking flight to fly up to Minneapolis and go goof off with him. And then we were joking about it a few weeks later, and I was like, we need to be doing more of those. So if you ever get the wild hair and want to do a supper in our backyard, we'd love to have you. But I mean, it sounds like you've got a murderer's row of dank food and pop-ups coming down the pike, and they're peppered throughout the country, no less.
Yes, yeah, because of the concept opening. So we did Raleigh, we're opening Atlanta, then we're doing Denver and Centennial next year, then Tulsa, then a second location in Denver. So we're opening a bunch of locations all throughout the country for the next couple of years. So that's gonna have me traveling, and wherever I go, if it's a city close or where one of my top chef friends live, you're like, so what are we gonna do? Like in Raleigh, every time I go, I try to get with Savannah and her fiance for dinner at least once.
I mean, heck yeah, you might, and those are friends and relationships and bonds you fostered for life. Like, I don't even like Chris that much, and I've known him for 12 fucking years.
Yeah, and do y'all have like a text thread? A text
we have an Instagram group page that we're very, very active.
Who sends the best memes?
Great question, Chris.
I mean, I cannot toot my own horn, but
Who was the group's favorite judge this year? Maybe guest judge. Like, I thought the Frank Lloyd Wright episode was a great one from that bougie ass house tucked out of Madison or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, what was y'all's favorite guest judge? And obviously, toot your own horn. It may have been the first episode when the judges were obviously, had the sharpest palate. But at the same time, did you have a judge that you were like, this person was a hoot and a holler to meet and get to know a little bit off the camera as well?
So we don't get to talk to the judges
at all.
No,
no. That's not even the famous ones like the basketball or the baseball player.
No, we know who they are and we know they're gonna be there, but we don't get to like interact with them because they don't.
That's the most back of house situation.
Not even afterwards.
Nope, not even afterwards.
I imagine some of those guys are like, all right, I did my obligation, I got to go to like schedules.
Who knows what obligations they have, but no, we did not have the opportunity. Yeah, for good or for bad.
There's probably an asshole out there. You dodged a bullet somewhere.
For kind of like the final thing, like about Top Chef, and then let's get into some personal stuff.
Oh yeah, what's your
let's get personal.
Did you ever imagine that being on Top Chef like would open up the kinds of opportunities that it has for you, or that you would like fall like? Do you like being on camera after Top Chef? Are you in that?
You forget that the cameras are there, first of all, because you're so involved. And they told us, when we were the top 6, we had the opportunity to meet some chef alumni for the fish boil. And they were so excited. We're like, you guys are more excited than us for the top 6. And they were like, because you have no idea how much your life is going to change. I had no clue what Top Chef was going to do for my career and for my life. It is like,
I mean, yeah, got you on this couch finally.
It has opened doors and opportunities and conversations and connections that I would have not had otherwise. Like I say, Top Chef is the hardest thing I've ever done in my career, but it is just as rewarding. It's incredible.
And it's nice when that kind of works out, that yin to yang, where you work hard and good things come from it, but at the same time you have to earn those stripes, and you did that through years. I mean, look, we're both just two Mississippi boys here that managed to get out and get the
Alabama mofo.
I was talking about he and I. Yeah, sorry, Tunica, Jackson, we're pretty much brothers. But no, yeah, you've deserved everything, and you deserve so much more. I'm so excited to see what great shit you have in store. And I can't wait for the rest of the world to get to know you like we've been able to, having you not only as a chef in our community, but getting to have cocktails with you and goof off and bump into you at food events. And, you represented our community brutally well. We can't thank you enough, not only for taking the time today, but also for representing Denver's hospitality scene well. We thought you did well. You're about to fuck all of that progress up, because these next questions are our deep dives presented by our friends over at Seed Money Consulting. It doesn't matter where in the country you live. You don't need to be leaving money on the table or giving the government an interest-free loan all year long until tax season. That's why you should reach out to our friends at Seed Money Consulting. They're based right here in Denver. They work with everyone from small business owners, food truck representatives, restaurateurs with their first, second, or even third locations, cannabis companies, and content creators. That's just to name a few, and the folks that we've been able to refer to them. And I know they've worked wonders for both us and those that we've mentioned before. So if you're looking for someone to help you in this new financial calendar year, reach out to our friends here in Denver, Colorado. That's seedmoneyconsulting.com. All right, the first question: what year did you lose your virginity? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that was about to give me the day. Man, I'm game.
Who do you use for frequent flyer miles? Like you mentioned, you travel a lot. Are you a United guy, a Delta? Are you American? Because what's out of Charlotte or Raleigh?
From Raleigh. Man, when I'm buying my flight ticket, I look for the one that is direct.
Direct's clutch.
Yes, and the one that can get me there the earliest.
So whoever's flying out at 5:30 directed the clip.
I mean, let's not exaggerate.
7:75.
Yeah, like I look for like whatever gets me there around 3 p.m. like a 9 to 3.
Oh,
that's
not early at all.
I live in Longmont.
That's
dude.
a 6-hour flight. That sounds awful.
I mean, it is a bear, but you're forgetting about the time change.
Yeah, it's a 4-hour flight, but when you live in Longmont, it's 1 hour and 10-minute drive to the airport.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I'm not flying at 5:30.
Okay, you mentioned Longmont. What's your pizza of choice up there?
Urban Field.
Urban Field?
Urban
You
Field.
like the thick boys or that thin guy?
Dude, pizza is like sex, man. Even when it's bad, it's pretty good. Like I will have any kind of pizza.
That's
Urban
very true.
Field and Rosalie's, and there's another one out there, Lucky Pie.
I have not had Lucky Pie. I had Rosalie's. Rosalie's is like it's good. Like I really enjoyed it.
It's
but
that New Haven vibe.
but I have built a relationship with the people at Urban Field that
Urban Field's fluffies. I love
dude,
those pizzas.
it is. And have you tried a burger?
No, I haven't, but I did the mozzarella stick that was 1 pound. They
Yeah.
were like, Kip, you
Yep.
got to get your fat ass up here and try it.
Yeah.
For those that are asking and have
Yeah,
very much a pancake ass.
shout out to Urban Field. Like they're fucking
pizza.
great. Yeah.
And you can get all sorts of other like basic Italian accoutrements. Like you can go home with a little bit of olives or go across the street to the cheese importer.
Yes.
Let's go shopping together.
Dude, and the mocktails at Urban Field.
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
Oh, I was like, can I have a
have a good wine
large
list.
format? No, I go for the mocktails.
Hey, to each their own.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We started off the personal questions real
Yeah.
strong, but thanks for not answering that first one. We were going to get canceled.
Yeah, really,
According to
truly though,
Bravo.
favorite taco spot in Longmont.
Favorite taco spot in Longmont? Teocalli, now that they just opened. Teocalli Cocina?
I haven't heard of that.
Have you? So they have one in Lafayette, one in Arvada,
Okay.
and they just opened Longmont.
Good spot.
It is solid. So Julio and I, we have known each other for a while, and we're opening in Longmont. I'm just like, oh fuck yeah,
Okay.
it's good.
Kid, we need to add that to the list.
Where?
Teocalli,
Oh, there's one in Arvada too.
they just opened in Longmont about like 3 weeks ago.
And they're in Louisville also.
Yeah.
The Louisville one does such large numbers. They're like, oh, we can just suburbia our way to retirement. They probably have a boat that like hangs out in Monaco. They print cash. Teocalli.
Julio told me Longmont is busier
Really?
and it's bigger.
That's even scarier for the
Yeah.
American taco scene. That's
Yeah.
wild. They opened a third one in Slade. I love it.
Yes.
Okay, so here's a question. Let's say you worked late night on the line, or for you these days it may be that you traveled and got back to Colorado late. What's that guilty pleasure late night snack that we can always find in our refrigerator, pantry, or freezer that you'll just kill right before bed, no questions asked?
Takis.
Blue, purple?
Purple Takis with
I don't
French
even know what the
onion
flavors
dip.
are. I just know
It's
Ooh, I
with-
like the dill.
Dude, I got the people at Top Chef converted into eating Takis with French onion dip. When they're eating it at their house, they send me pictures like, motherfucker, like
It's
purple
so good.
Takis with
With the
French,
French onion.
French onion dip. Oh my god!
So our friend Lexi from Pine Melon, shout out to our sponsors Pine Melon. She was like, I'll eat a whole bag of Ruffles and a whole thing of the French onion dip in one. She's like, I don't even bat an eye.
Yeah.
And it's like Takis with French onion made me.
I have woken up from drinking nights and look at my fingers and they're red and I'm like, God damn it, I did it again. Like Takis, if you're listening to this, sponsor me. I'm your number one fan.
I thought you were a Duke's guy. Is that? Do we want
I,
Duke's and
I,
Taki?
I can take 2 sponsorships, man.
Hey, you're telling me. I just plugged both mine. I get it. Yeah, Taki and Duke's need to shout you out. By the way, your love for mayonnaise, for those that don't know at home, this guy will drink it if you give it to him in a cup. How did that start, and why do you love it so much?
I don't.
It's foul.
I don't know why I love it so much, but I have my top 3. I have my honorable mentions. Like I have all
Like I rank cheese sticks, you rank
What are
mayo.
your
Give me
top 3 mayos?
Duke's Mayo is number 1.
Obviously.
Number 2 is McCormick with lime. Is the one with the red top. Is the Mexican version. Number 3 is Sir Kensington, the one with the monocle. And honorable mention is Kewpie Mayo because Kewpie Mayo tastes great with Asian food, but doesn't taste as good with non-Asian food.
Yeah.
It's not as
It doesn't-
versatile.
Okay, so I find that Kewpie or Coupie or whatever you want to call it is actually it's not bad with French fries. I'll give it that. Like I had that and I was like, I don't know if it was fucking Rapidos had it, but someone had it and I was like, don't hate this, don't hate this.
Put
But that's
mayo-
a very strong how you just riddled off those top 3.
Yeah, and
without
put
any-
mayo and Valentina on your French fries. Yeah.
I mean, teach their own. But while we have you, what's your preferred French fry? That's a question that we just need to start asking people to eat.
Yeah.
Like, what texture French fry do you like?
Crinkle cut.
Steak
Would you,
fry?
would you believe me that I rather get a second burger than a burger and fries?
Yeah, but that wasn't the question. It was just like if you see a French fry, which one are you like? Oh, that's the alpha.
Well done fried like in and out.
A good crispy.
A good crispy fry. Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Well,
so-
okay,
You just
let's get
lost
back
some-
on
you
track
lost some
here.
of our East Coast followers.
No, so I just want to be
answer.
able to scoop the mayo.
Yeah,
so it
you
needs
need
to,
to have that.
it needs
it needs
texture,
that-
yeah.
You need that oomph to have it like a vessel.
That
I go
shovel.
with the shoestring shovel, where you have it almost like a basket.
Like a mop.
Yeah, exactly. But it comes out dolloped, and it's in between the vessels. It's closer to a paintbrush than it is
Yes.
a mop. All right, Chris, what's our next one?
I think it's a road trip question.
Oh,
So let's say
Let's say
you're
we're
on a
gonna fight
road
this
trip.
week.
You're headed into a gas station, and you got to pick a drink, a snack, a chip, and a candy. What are your 4 choices?
It's
Okay.
the holiday weekend. You're driving
So
to the airport.
drink yerba mate, or well, let me backtrack because I'm stopping at a 7-Eleven actually. So I'm getting a Slurpee.
Okay.
Then I'm getting rolling taquitos because that's my guilty pleasure on road trips.
What's the innards? Do you
Steak
get-
and
okay.
cheese. Oh my God.
Said it was such a like
Yeah.
conviction.
Yeah. So it's a Slurpee and it has to be half red, half blue. Then I get the steak and cheese rolling taquito. I get Takis and I get Payday.
Payday.
Okay.
I like this 4-pack because we had this draft on Tuesday and we were yelling at each other by the end, and we all omitted the blue Dorito, which we're still kicking ourselves for. But
The ranch?
the blue,
Yeah.
the Cool Ranch is good.
Oh no.
You fucking drink ranch dressing, and you're
Yeah.
gonna sit here
But
and tell.
it doesn't taste like ranch. I'd rather
It's
get
not supposed to. It's supposed to taste cool, like a skateboarder.
Yeah, it's
Down
if
Venice.
ranch was good. That's how it would
Yeah,
taste.
if ranch tasted like that, I'd actually get it on a fucking sandwich. That's exactly right, Chris. Great question. Okay, so Manny, thank you again so much for taking the time. If those that are curious where you can find Manny, give everyone a quick rundown what your socials are. We have one more question for you, but plug it before we get into the dirty stuff. Where folks can follow you on social, streaming methods to watch your season of Bravo's Top Chef. Y'all, I swear to God, I love this 3-pack. The judges are wonderful. The contestants are great. We give spoilers, but to be honest, you really just need to watch all of it, especially for the food community. Everybody that lives in that world, you would really appreciate this season. Give everyone the rundown before we give you the hardest hitting question of the night.
Yeah, one thing before the rundown. Talking about, because people have asked me that about the judges, about Tom Colicchio.
I love me some Tom.
Yeah.
I like his Twitter too. He claps back at
So
folks.
he
Love him.
when we're talking, I mean, all of us, he said, you know what, guys, and this is like the moment that I respected him even more. Sorry, he said, I can see the personal sacrifice, mental sacrifice, financial sacrifice that you guys do here for this. The very least that I owe you, out of respect, is the truth. I will never sugarcoat it. If it's bad, it's bad. If it's good, it's good. But I will never lie to you because I owe it to you out of respect, chef to chef. And I'm just like, goddamn.
I mean, that is legit because he's not necessarily like the toughest of them because everybody like, I think Gail has gone after some folks like, don't tell me this is this and it's that,
Yeah.
you know? And then Kristen was a little bit more fun and shout out to her for yelling food that fucks on TV. And I know they had to blurt it out, but that's our saying. And we have a fuck scale. We've had people like, would you bang it again? Like,
Oh my God.
I just can't tell her how, when she said that, like, it was sent to us by like 400 people. They're like, oh my God, they said it on food. Like, I was like, they said it on a challenge. I think it was when Tom cooked his little like, y'all.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, this food fucks. And I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, they said it on the television. I was like, yeah. But I thought that that 3-pack absolutely killed it this year.
Hats
And
up to them.
shout out to them for sure.
But yeah, rundown.
You ready?
So, yeah, social media is at Chef Manny Borella for Instagram. What was the next question? It's been like 2 years.
Give Jaguar a shout out as well as the pickleball.
So we have Jaguar Bolera. So it is at Jaguar Bolera. That's our rally location. More to come. And then we have Camp Pickle that is opening in 2025 in Centennial. That's the first of the 2 locations that we're gonna have in Denver.
Okay, so I played it. I got the set for Christmas. Played it once with another couple.
Maybe.
It's actually fucking fun. Like, it's fun. There was a bar inside. You have a drink. You listen to some music. You play a couple games of pickleball in like a rented space for a little while. If you're telling me you're going to add some dank ass food to that, you can tickle me pink. I'll be there with bells
You
on.
know, the food is gonna be it's like, think about like 1940s summer camp. So it's a Mexican with smoke program on it.
Wait, a 1940s Mexican camp with a smoke program.
Yeah.
I don't even know how the fuck could I picture that? What does that entail? The 40s?
So-
What's that going to
so-
be?
so for
like
example, like-
headbands and like wicker
No,
rackets?
like think about like old school summer camp. You know, the visual where you have the cabins kind of
shit,
thing. Yeah.
really?
Yeah, and like the food, for example, in Jaguar, which is Mexican and American Southern, we have chorizo hush puppies. We have pimento cheese with salsa macha. We have lambirria taquito. We have brisket tacos. We have smoked pork ribs al pastor. So it's like playfulness on that.
A little bit more inviting, casual in nature.
Yeah, I call it. It has a Mexican heart with a Southern soul.
Pimento cheese sandwich, would you fuck?
A pimento cheese is one of my favorite American things.
He is
Because he loves mayo.
This guy's a Mississippian through and through.
That's got to be the hardest thing to think about, like when you're like mayo and cheese.
Pimento
How does
cheese
that
is the
work?
best cheese for
it's
burgers.
so damn good.
It's not really a cheese for the record.
It's
It's good though.
I mean, you're
And
entitled to
doses.
your own opinion.
That's fair. Okay. And then for those that wanted to watch your season, they're like, I've got to see this guy in action. If y'all don't believe me, he slays. I mean, we've teased where he finished, like top 5, top 6. Where can folks watch it?
On Peacock,
I've been watching old seasons on Peacock.
Yes.
It's in the dog days of sports. I'd rather watch competitive cooking, and it's awesome. I can and they don't have the old seasons don't have commercials. You can knock out seasons 6 through 15 in no time. Eve just knocked out a full season from Thursday to Monday. I mean, we're flying through old seasons.
yes. Yeah. So Peacock, Bravo, and YouTube TV. Those are the 3 that I know, and Sling. If you have Sling, you have access to it.
Okay. I use the YouTube TV for your season because I watched it. I do have I'm disgruntled with the time it airs in the mountain region. 10 p.m. is so late. I'm old. Dude, Chris is really old.
the one thing I would love for Bravo to do
like
is
7
that
p.m.
Last Chance Kitchen. I wish I could see those damn things just like immediately following or something like that, because having to go
so good.
through and like try to find it online. Like,
If you're watching it on Peacock, it actually if you don't do anything once the episode ends, Last Chance Kitchen starts. Right after that, Dish with Kish without like doing anything.
Okay.
Just back to back to back.
I didn't realize that. I'll start watching on the Peacock app instead because I was using YouTube TV. And if you find yourself like 2 episodes behind on Last Chance Kitchen, then you'll find out who the answer is when you find like the details about that one. So you have to be careful. But this is the last question of the night for real. Eve is telling me I have to wrap it up. It's called The Last Supper. Manny, we appreciate you taking the time to chat with us. This is our hardest hitting question, so feel free to take time thinking about it. You get to have 3 people, dead or alive, join you for your last night on Earth. We want to know who those people are and what are you eating, but they cannot be friends or family.
I would have Barack Obama.
Nice.
I would have,
We could all use a little him right now.
yeah, amen to that, brother. Peyton Manning and Ryan Reynolds.
Okay. Have you ever met Peyton through your cooking travels of cooking in Colorado?
No, but one time he was on the I was at the stadium with the Broncos and he was on the suite, like 2 suites from me, and I'm just like, oh my God, that's Peyton Manning. You know, that's what got me into football. You know, like like I'm a Colts fan.
American. Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
To be
Peyton
fair,
Manning.
that's understandable. He's very charismatic, as you are. Y'all are both naturals in front of the camera, even in case one of y'all throws up.
I want him to roast me. I want Peyton Manning to like his humor is so dry that I just
He's
want
good.
it would be a fun dinner, and we would be eating gringas. We would have flour, cheese, pastor.
That's it. Just
Yeah,
knock
that's
out
my dead row meal.
6,000 tacos, huh?
Dude.
You competed in the taco contest, didn't
Yeah.
you? You and I were talking shit to one another, and it was on our recording day, so I couldn't make it to eat. How many did you put down?
So I ate 30.
50. Oh my God. You ate 30?
Yes.
Did you win?
No. It was the last 5 were a race, and it's a long story. I'll tell you off the record. However, like I will challenge anybody on eating pastor tacos. Like, just name the place and time, and whoever loses pays the bill.
That sounds like a fun challenge. Y'all can find him at Chef Manny Borella on Instagram. You can reach out to his restaurant, and they'll make sure he gets this challenge. Jaguar Bolera.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to me. I knocked that out of the park. Don't forget, Camp Pickle is opening up in 2025 here in Colorado. Manny, we can't thank you enough for taking the time. We can't thank the folks from Bravo and Feed Media for setting up this conversation, and thanks for shooting the shit with us. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you, and shout out to my fiance. I'm getting married in 10 days.
Hey, congrats!
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. So I love you, babe.
Aw, well, until next week, y'all stay high, stay hungry.
Bravo.
Manny, please pack your knives and go.
Oh, yes! That's awesome.
Yes, we're waiting.